Hello, everybody, and welcome to Unique Piece, this special episode. I am so grateful and excited for my guests tonight. I have Cody Blue and Tanya Dahl. They are the founders of Acids for Squares. They are also healers and intuitives themselves, and they are going to share what brings them peace. Welcome.
Hi, Janice.
Thank you, Cody.
Thank you.
So grateful. So, how are you guys tonight?
We're good.
Doing good. Just ending the workday, so just winding down.
Yeah, we're in Los Angeles, so we know it's a little bit later for you, right? You're on the East Coast. You're in New York.
Yes, New York, Massapequa.
A lot. That's what's up.
We appreciate you later in the day.
Way to bring the vibe to the East Coast too. We need it there.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, Michael says, "Yay!" So,
hey, brother.
So, I would like to start off with one question I did not throw your way beforehand, and that is, can you tell us a little bit about your journey, how you got from the space of ADHD, in Cody's case, from ADHD to exploring plant medicine to finding kind of peace in that? And then Tanya, you also had your experience and exploration with plant medicine as well.
Cody, you should probably go first because yours trickles into mine.
Okay, yeah. So this is, and we in a crazy way, we have like very similar stories. It's one of the things that together. But yeah, I mean, in a nutshell, I'm from Long Island, New York, as you are, and I was put on ADHD medication as a kid. I always say I'm a product of the medication generation. You know, the kids, the sensitives, the neurodivergent that get medicated at a young age, and everything that I am now and have become has been from that journey. And ultimately, you know, I struggled with different medications, different doctors, different side effects. I wouldn't say struggle; I would say coped. At the time, I was just grateful to have. You know, I was just grateful to have treatment because that's what my parents told me. They were like, "You're just lucky to have medication." But ultimately, I went on a journey in my early 20s. The side effects got bad or worse, I would say. And I decided to go to the doctor and say, "Hey, I think this is causing me, you know, pharmaceutically induced depression, anxiety." And they were like, "Oh, no worries. Double your dosage. Here's your antidepressant."
You have a drug for that.
We're so blessed. Yeah, exactly. Oh, thanks. And at the time, you know, I was living in LA. I just moved here. I just sold my first movie to New Line Cinema, my first screenplay. And, you know, I couldn't escape into work. I definitely am indoctrinated. It was indoctrinated into a life of workaholism. And when I couldn't escape into work, I had to face those uncomfortable feelings. And when the doctor, you know, sort of shrewdly doubled my dosage when I said I thought it was making me sick in the first place, I decided to look into the pharmaceutical companies, look into the medications. And what I learned shocked me. You know, how the pharmaceutical lobby, the origin of the pharmaceutical companies, which I don't know if, you know, you might be able to speak better on it, Janice, but, you know, ultimately the Rockefellers, who had a monopoly on petroleum, on oil at the time, wanted to get into the medical industry and make the petroleum model for medicine. And they ultimately they created the American Medical Association and hacked the medical colleges and systems to create
It's all about the almighty dollar. It's not necessarily about getting you better. Now, some people do need medication. I'm not ruling it out completely, but my son was also given the ADHD diagnosis, and they wanted to go that route, and I said absolutely not. I have a friend, one of my best friends, her husband is a neuropsychologist, and he's dealing with patients who, Cody, like yourself, were on medication and were on Ritalin. He goes, their brains look like Swiss cheese.
Yep.
Wow.
So I avoided that, and I was like, we'll figure it out. And plus, he's also a boy. They function better when they run around. He's not so.
Or a child in general.
It's very fascinating. And when I because one part of it was learning about the pharmaceutical companies, and like you said, everyone's different and everyone has their own unique path, and sometimes pharmaceutical intervention is necessary, and no one should ever feel shame about that. But certainly it's a model that does not heal. It is masks. Yeah. Tanya has once said to me, I don't know where you heard it, Tanya said taking pharmaceuticals and thinking you're healthy is like taking a loan out from a bank and thinking you're rich,
Yes, that's a very true statement.
And to speak to the kids, it's fascinating because when I would learn about ADHD, and essentially at the time they would tell me it was a chemical imbalance, but that has been thrown out the window actually recently. It's like, it was never really, really sound. It was just like a talking point. But, that's not the case. That's not how they work. And that's not really the problem with ADHD. ADHD, the part of your prefrontal cortex is underdeveloped. It's the part that limits information coming in so you can focus. It's underdeveloped. So you do not, the person with quote unquote ADHD does not have the ability or the mechanism that's limiting information coming in, right?
To block stuff.
So it's actually a hypersensitivity. It's interesting because it's both a curse and a blessing. You have
right.
greater pattern recognition, heightened creativity, but you ultimately have trouble focusing. But I do think, I think it's actually an evolutionary mutation, and it just does not fit in sort of this industrial era work paradigm. Sit at your desk and clock in and clock out. These are sensitive people and children that are more in tune with the energies that they're being inundated with.
It's just also not a natural way of being so structured, and if in tribal structures and all that stuff. I'm sure they went out for like their hunts and they had certain things going on, but it wasn't so rigid. I feel like the structure that we have in society is like so rigid.
Yeah, it's very different.
It's so funny when you think of the history of school, and it's something that I recently learned, and I'm a history buff, is school was invented to make better workers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But school was invented.
Stay in line, follow the rules, do what you're said, clock in, clock out, and then go home and do more homework, which makes no sense.
Yeah.
Yes, my son will agree with that statement. I did all this at school.
So messed up.
And look, to go back on sort of like the track, because we could talk forever about sort of ADHD, what it is, and what the Western perspective is, what the Eastern perspective, what the tribal perspective is. But just to sort of round out so we can get to Tanya's story, to give context to how we got to this point. When I kicked the drugs and went down a path of healing, I tried everything from homeopathy to naturopathy to neurofeedback, sensory deprivation, meditation, Reiki, everything, and found myself walking, that healing path, that right-hand path, that spiritual path. I do believe at this point that especially when it comes to mental health, that all mental health healing is spiritual healing. And that's just from my own personal experience. But that led me to the Amazon and working with shamans of the Shipibo tribe, ingesting some of the most powerful psychedelic plant medicines on the face of the planet. And I was very skeptical, so I got brain scans before and after from neuroscientists, and they rewired my brain waves, healed 3 childhood concussion traumas in my brain, and also healed a stress fracture on my spine, and changed my life so much. And when my straight edge family saw the healing, my mother and my siblings all went, and they healed various illnesses from depression to suicidal ideation to PTSD, parasites, a neck contusion, migraines, insomnia, a legion of illnesses. And of course there's still work to be done. It's life.
Always work to be done.
But a lot of major pathologized issues that me and my family have been dealing with all through working with psychedelic plant medicines. And that sort of like, brings, and that sort of got me into studying, training and practicing what one might call shamanism, but it's more just I don't even know what to really call. I mean
spiritual practices, ritual,
yeah,
working with the other side.
Yeah, non-denominational. We call it like hacking consciousness. Like we hack consciousness. We are spiritual hackers. Like that's what we do. Like we and ultimately it took me into a place of doing Reiki, energy work, practicing on people. I never had taken money for it. It was more of a moonlight. I do my directing and writing, and then if I met someone, I would give them attunements. And then I ultimately led me to meeting a lot of people like myself, and I would sort of help guide them to either facilitators or help guide them to the medicine or help them with their own attunement process. And ultimately led me to meeting Tanya, who, when I heard her story, we bumped into each other at a cafe and we had identical stories. I'll let her tell it from you. And I'm just thinking, oh, I got to get this girl to the medicine. Like she's take it from here.
And she's probably thinking he needs medicine.
She was on ADHD medication.
Yeah, well, go ahead. I got diagnosed really, really late in life. I was like 27 years old when I got diagnosed with dyslexia, OCD, and ADHD. And
fellow dyslexic, I get it.
Yeah. And ADHD is underdiagnosed in women.
Yeah,
and
they only started studying it only in like the 2000s. They only started using women in any medical practices in like the 2000s or something like that. No studies. All of them were all men, which is absolutely insane. Yeah. So that's another reason why all of the stuff is they were like, oh, we didn't really understand it in women, and now it's like they find out that ADHD comes out in like anxiety a lot in women. So, but yeah, my like healing journey, I actually went to, I went like the plant medicine route, actually not for healing. I didn't even really think that it is something that could heal, like mental things or ADHD or something like that. I was going because he was the third person I'd met that told me I needed to go to ayahuasca. First of all, I met two people and they were like, oh, you sound like you need to go to ayahuasca. And I'm like, okay, I don't know what that is. And then I had like an Akashic Records reader and she was like, Mother Ayahuasca is calling you. And I'm like, okay, number 2. And then I just happened to be in line at Starbucks the day after Christmas and just happened to be next to this guy. And we started talking and we ended up meeting up just as friends. We ended up meeting up at like a later date and start talking. And like he was saying, I was like, oh, I am on ADHD medication. I had these issues, blah, blah, blah. And we started realizing our lives were very, very similar. And he was like, oh, you need to come to ayahuasca. And I'm like, oh shit, well, this is a third person that said this to me. So a third time's the charm. And I was like, oh, I really want to go to Peru. I want to do it right. I want to whatever. And we, his family ended up going to a ceremony that wasn't in Peru. And I was like, oh, your mom's going to go?
I invited her and I was going with my mom and my brother. And the fact that my mom was going made her feel more comfortable.
I was like, wait, if your mom's going, then okay. Cause I didn't know him that well. We had just met. So he didn't know that well, but the fact that his mom was going made me feel safer. And in my medicine ceremonies, I got hit by a PG&E truck when I was a kid, major car accident. And I messed up my spine and gave myself scoliosis and have been dealing with like chronic back pain for the past, 20 something years. And I went in an ayahuasca ceremony. I ended up having this is like so wild though, but I ended up having a past life, a childhood trauma like come up, and I was like brought in to talk to my younger self. And as soon as I came out of the ceremony, I purged, and my back, I thought I had fibromyalgia because I was in so much pain all the time, and it completely just went and like disappeared. And I was like, how is this possible? There's no way that it's gone. And since then, I haven't had any back pain, which is wild to even say, but it's been years now and nothing.
And I think the only thing I'd add to her, even though I know we're kind of monologuing.
Yeah, we are.
But the thing I'd say about her that she didn't mention is like, she's very sensitive and had a lot of like strange phenomenon, like paranormal stuff her whole life, intuitive stuff. And she was pretty scared.
Lots of ghosts. I was living in a constant state of fear.
Yeah, she's very scared. She would have these mantras like places aren't haunted, people are haunted.
I get it. I grew up in a haunted house. Trust me. I grew up in a haunted house. I used to have every closet door open so that I could see what was coming at me.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. See, I had them all closed and pillows.
Most people had them closed. I'm like, I need to see what's coming.
Right.
That's too funny. Yeah.
And for me, coming into medicine work, somewhat of an agnostic and not understanding, not truly knowing the spiritual nature of reality, the first thing that happens when when physical reality, when you see beyond the veil of illusion, is, it's your ancestors and your loved ones and spirit, God, whatever you want to call it. And it's all there lovingly. And it's sort of been there the whole time. And they're like, it was always us.
That's literally what they said to me when I saw them. They're like, we've been trying to get your attention. It's about us the entire time. And I'm like, well, that was really scary. That wasn't cool.
Yeah. It's sort of like these cultural programs and horror movies and all the stuff that make us fear sort of the things that go bump in the night, when really it's for the most
many
part,
different things on the other side.
We feel that it's love.
Loving.
But yeah, so she was able to reconcile that, and then we started holding medicine ceremonies together.
And I stopped taking my ADHD medication, which was a huge thing. And then I started doing meditation prior to meeting Cody, which really helped me and changed my life a lot. But then with Cody, he has like a very strict practice. So he brought me into doing it more regularly, which is important for ADHD because of the prefrontal cortex pushing more blood to it, which is what meditation does.
Yeah. And we're kind of getting a little tangential, but yeah, that is kind of how we got here. And now we're both directors. We formed a production company this year called Acid for Squares. Yeah. And
consciousness-based media.
We make a lot of content that is essentially intersects with consciousness, or something like the UAP phenomenon or UFOs, psychedelic medicines. Yeah. And we have a show. Our first project was the psychedelic podcast Awaken Underground, and
I listened to that. I'm a little jealous of the people you got to talk to, but that it's a shame that you guys aren't doing it yet again. But
we're starting our own podcast actually now. That's the Acid for Squares podcast, where we're actually going to be able to dive in deeper into stuff that's not just psychedelics, but actually more into the phenomenon that moves around it, instead of having to deal with overlords that are watching what we're doing.
Yeah, I guess this would be us publicly announcing that we're, instead of doing a second season, we are doing the Acid for Squares podcast, which will be essentially an offshoot of the Awaken Underground. And one of the reasons is we're doing it independently, so our corporate overlords can't tell us not to talk about it. And it was, it was interesting doing that show. We would have sort of scientists and doctors sort of be like, I'm sorry, can you cut that out, or can you not go into that part? Because they would talk about witnessing healings out with no psychedelics, pulling nails out of people's wrists and like, wild spiritual healings, and they didn't want to risk their profession. So hopefully this podcast will change it.
Yeah. Well, again, you are the corporate overlords. So you get to do it.
What have we become?
Yeah.
I'm sure you.
But you're not bad. You're not bad. Don't look at it that way. So with all of that in your journey, how do you find peace now? It's like you're like in a better place from all the chaos, and you've gotten yourself into this beautiful place. So what brings you peace?
So can I go?
Yeah,
so for me, the thing that brings me peace. So Cody and I are very much in our heads all day long because we are coming up with ideas. We're working in a space that's in the imagination, and it takes a really long time to get something actually made in the world of entertainment. So for me, something that is really grounding is important. So something that brings me peace is I'm learning a lot about plants. And so I have a lot of plants at my house, and I'm learning how to take care of them differently. And I'm learning to like read their energy. I'm also really learning about the insects that are there. And I know might sound strange, but I've become completely fascinated with insects and plants and the inner workings between the two of them. And it's really brought me from, just kind of being focused and looking forward to really looking down and like seeing what's around me and being really present and really grounded in what the earth has to offer. So when it comes to grounding things, for me, it's really like plants, animals, and insects. Like those are the things that bring me peace, because I feel like they have such a beautiful vibration, and they're just so in tune that they're not thinking about the things that we are. And so to me, being in their energy is the thing that brings me peace.
Yeah. Love that. I guess what brings me peace, well, this is a very interesting question. I think, I mean, because there's a lot of like very simple platitudes, which are the most important things, like the hallmarks, meditation, breath, being in nature, those sorts of things. But I feel like you bring me peace. I love you. I know it's a lot on the nose. Well, I think it all comes down to, on my personal healing journey, it all came down to connection and disconnection. It started to become a binary. And there were the things that disconnect me from source, call it the infinity, the flow of intelligent infinity, whatever you want to call it, just connection to source, let's say. And there's the things that disconnect me. And so anything that connects me, what does connect me is ritual, having a ritualistic practice. There are specific techniques within the ritual that, but everything within ritual, I'd say. So like peace, what brings me peace is being sort of disconnected from sort of like the psychic noise of social media and the news and everything like that.
Yeah.
And disconnecting from that and going inward, lighting a candle, breathing, doing a gratitude prayer.
Intention. Yeah.
Setting my intention, focusing on what I'm grateful for, and taking, that is what brings like intentionality to my life, as opposed to me sort of running on the program of my subconscious that I like indoctrinated myself with as a kid so I wouldn't fail or some shit.
Something else that brings him peace.
Are you gonna say sports?
No, yeah,
and coffee.
Sports and
coffee brings me peace.
Yeah.
It's like seriously, when he gets stressed out, we go outside and literally throw the football around. We just walk around the block throwing the football, and it completely takes actually my mind too. It's actually really, really wonderful to do that.
And you know what, and Jazz, and I don't know, make a signal if we're talking too much.
Yeah,
there's one of the, because even the stuff we're talking about, like ritual, right, practice, energy work, all of that stuff, there are a lot of also like spiritual sort of like hallmarks and tropes of anyone that's practicing, like trying to walk the noble path of love and work on themselves, right? But yeah, like there are some like very foundational stuff. When I'm in my head, she pulls me outside and throws a ball with me, and
it works.
And it just takes me back to childhood. And I don't know what it is, but it's that simple.
No, but it's something that simple. It's something that simple. I had a aromatherapist on last night, and there's certain scents that'll just bring me back, and then there's certain scents that just calm me down.
Right.
So throwing the football, my son would appreciate that. He's on the football team.
Next time he's stressed out, you should just take him outside and just throw the football around with him.
Can I ask you what brings you peace?
What brings me peace?
Yeah.
My son, even though he'll drive me crazy. My man, who is watching. The cats. I love my cats. Michael's cat loves me. She brings me peace. She knows when I need peace, because it's like she'll sense what's going on, and she's like right on my lap and purring, and it's like, okay, it's time to calm down. There are times where I don't even realize it, that it's like, oh, something must be going on, because she can be pretty antisocial until she knows something's going on, and then she's right on my lap, and it's like, oh, I guess it's time to calm down. I don't know what's going on, but I needed you. And she'll start purring really loud. And that's like being in tune with the animal's energy. It's like, okay, she either needs me or I need her.
Yeah.
So that brings me peace.
This reminds me of Cody always talks about how the purring of cats, their vibration actually can like calm you down. His old cat used to literally sit on his lap every time he would meditate and just like purr like crazy.
Yeah, same thing though. Also, if I was having anxiety, it would come sit next to me and purr. There's some studies that they've done that actually show the cat's purr improves the bone healing.
Bone density. Yeah.
Yeah, I've had several cats growing up, and there are three that are distinctly I remember distinctly because like they chose me. It's like, it's like here's your dead bird, and it's like, thanks. I'm gonna put this over here. Um, when you've been claimed, but those are. But I noticed with my brother's dogs, because my brother is deaf. His dogs just instinctively, neither one of them have been trained, but they know, hey, there's something different about my owner. So they bring him peace, but they're also his ears. Wow. So it's like animals know. They're very psychic too. It's like people are like, oh, I don't like cats. It's like, well, if my cat doesn't like you, I don't trust you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I know that animal more than I know you.
They're a great judge of character.
Yeah, we talk about this a lot. I mean, there's a reason that the quote unquote witches were always depicted as having cats around them, and same thing in Egypt. I mean, and I believe they just from having cats and doing ritual with cats, ceremonies with temple cats.
Oh yeah, that's always cool.
I feel that they live on the other, because I always say we're in heaven dreaming of life, not the other way
around.
I feel like the cats, they're living on the other side, and they sort of like peekaboo.
Just multidimensional beings. They're just like
all the time.
Yeah, I feel traveling back and forth.
I feel like they're truly psychic. And I have one more question. You said your son brings you peace. Do you like being a mother? We're talking about having a kid all the time. So
I love being a mother. It can be challenging. It's not without its challenges, but I do love being a mother. I'm not going to say adolescence is my favorite part of it, but this is where the guidance part comes in. You've brought them up, you've taught them right from wrong. This is where they make their decisions. This is where it's really been hard for me, because he is 16 and he wants that independence. But he may be 16, but in my brain, he's 6. So, but I do love being a mother, and I'm always there for him and being his safe space. Getting to that point of making it different than when I grew up. I couldn't go to my parents. I mean, I could probably go to my stepdad more than my mom, but Jeffrey knows he can come to me. My son can come to me. I'm his safe space. He can confide in me. And one thing I have to remember as a mom is step back. He's trusting me. I tried XYZ. Okay. And what did you do with it? So he continues to come back to me.
That's amazing.
It's like, okay, you want to try wine. Okay. I have to be present when you try it. So I see that reaction.
Yeah.
You want to try this. Okay. I want to be present there. He's confided in me that he's tried things that I wasn't present for. And he goes, Mom, who would pay for cancer? I'm like, thank you. You said the right answer.
Wow. Nice job.
Oh my God.
Well, but it's been a beautiful experience so far.
I mean, that's such a testament to you, though, that the kind of mom you must be, because of the fact that your son feels that he can come to you, because that is like such a hard place to like be able to be so open with your parents at that age, especially because everything's so new and you're trying stuff and you're trying to figure yourself out and whatever. So that's really amazing that you've created that relationship with him. Yeah,
that's super cool. You hold space for your son. My mom and me, we tried that and she blew it. I was like, I don't know, 11, 12 years old, something like that. And I had a third giant testicle. And is this not on brand? Is this not unique piece? This is unique piece.
This is unique.
I had a third, as far as I knew, I had a third giant testicle. Okay, so I go to my mom at the car. I go, Mom, I need to see a doctor by myself. You can't be there. She like pulls over the car. She's like, honey, what's going on? You have to tell me. You have to tell me. I'm like, no, Mom, I need to see. Just let me see a doctor by myself. And she's like, no. She's like, please, just tell me. I promise, I won't tell anyone. I won't tell him. So I tell her I have a third giant testicle, and she goes, okay, we'll get you to see a doctor. And then like the next day I come home from school, my whole family is sitting at the dinner table. My mom's like, Cody, show your funny looking testicle to your brothers. They have a show them.
Oh
no, they have them too. Just show them. Like, she was trying to help. She was just like, and it turned out I had a hernia. So I mean,
oh my goodness.
So it was all okay, but it was traumatizing.
Not a magical.
That would be traumatizing. Yes, that would be traumatizing.
That's not true. He tells his mom literally everything.
I love my mother. I will die for her. She's a saint.
I tell his mom everything too. She's the best.
Okay, so a little detour from the unique piece for a little hernia comedy, but I mean,
still, you were brave enough to tell your mom at 11. So come on, I would be.
And I love my mom. I'll do anything for her, and she's amazing. And I would tell her all over again if I could. It's hilarious. It's for all the moms out there. Feel no shame. It's amazing.
No, you can't. When you're a mom, it's kind of like being a nurse or a doctor. It's like you can't get grossed out anymore. It's like people are like, "Oh, that's gross." You don't have kids. You're not a nurse because this should not bother you.
That's interesting.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
So, how do you feel you bring peace to others?
Through talking about my third testicle publicly. How do you bring peace to others? Do you want to go first?
Go ahead, Boo.
Why don't you go? I just told a long story.
About your testicle?
Yeah. How do I bring peace to others? I think, okay. How I bring peace to others. I think
we're very similar in the way that we do it.
I know. I mean, making people laugh is great. I think really being present and holding space and asking questions and maintaining a vibration of love and neutrality and non-judgment. So truly being in my heart, not judging whatsoever, looking them in the eyes and asking questions so they have a safe space to essentially, like we call it, like purge or to drain the wound, as we call it. I mean, her and me are very much the same, very much that kind of empath healer sort of archetype. Walk into a room. And this is something I've always loved about her so much. You don't go to who you're closest to. You don't go hang out with who has the most clout or some shit.
You go to the person who's not hanging out with anybody.
Person in the corner by themselves, and bring you and try to light that fire, and to bring flow to the room. I mean, we have a very
We've both been like this.
We're medicine people, so we have a very specific. Our intention is always healing. So how do we bring peace? I mean, we try to bring a healing vibration and connect people and hold space with non-judgment and positivity. To help lift people up. I think that's kind of it.
And we both really love people. Like in general, we just like love all kinds of people, and we feel that everyone is inherently good and loving and just maybe just needs a little extra attention or a little extra love. And I don't know why, but yeah, Cody and I, we both, like, from the stories that we both heard from our parents and all that kind of stuff, like we've just kind of always been like that, where we go towards the person who seems like they might be by themselves or alone or doesn't get to talk much or something like that. And we try to like bring it out of them to, bring them into the conversation. And yeah, I feel like that is bringing peace to others, because they're understanding that they're important and that they're validated. And that's just another thing we like to do, is anytime somebody shares something with us, because I'm sure you're the exact same way. It's all of a sudden people are like, I don't know why I'm telling you this story. Like, I'm so sorry. I'm just spilling my guts to you.
and I find myself, it's okay. You tell me whatever you need to tell me.
I've never told anybody this before. I don't know why I'm doing this. It's just a thing that happens with people. It's one of those things that we always are trying to find ways to be like, oh, well, we've been through this too. I totally get it. And try to relate ourselves and be more vulnerable and more open ourselves in order to allow people to also be more open and vulnerable around us.
I think something interesting, just even about this question, because it's so funny, because reading the questions, I was like, oh, there's very like obvious answers for this. What makes you what makes you feel peace? I meditate, right? Like something. But there is like a deeper, interesting thing. Like it's asking this question. No one is, first off, has ever asked this question to me.
I think it's her entire show.
I know. I realize I get it.
Does.
I get it. Because no one has ever asked that question. Yeah. And the truth is, and this is something we've never told anybody. I don't think so. Now that, I mean, I'm about to say some stuff. Okay. Let's say some shit. I mean, it's all about like what your intention is in life and how you live and what is your like your coat of arms. Like what is our wise person once said there's no such thing as priorities, there's only priority. And priorities is an oxymoron. There's no such thing. You can't have multiple priorities. What's your priority? So, and our priority is we're interested in the healing and the elevation of everyone.
Ourselves, our family, our friends, and anybody that we come in contact with.
That's what excites us. That's we make art. We want to evolve the consciousness of the species.
That's all we do.
Shift, right? We're disruptive and anarchists, but we do it only to heal. Yeah. So our intention is always to heal and bring peace to people in the ways we do it. The only other way we do it that we would not speak about is that, we do energy work and like facilitate. And if someone is sick and going through a hard time, and we have the ability, like, we hold space for them. So like, if they ask for it, we'll get some medicine or, it could be some hape, some sacred tobacco. It could be some mushroom, tinacatl.
We mostly work with mushrooms. So that's our go-to. We've done healing ceremonies for the first time Cody met my dad was literally we did a mushroom ceremony for my dad for his 65th birthday.
She didn't tell me.
My dad didn't know.
I never met him.
I just told him we were doing a healing on him. And then I got there and I was like, hey, Dad and your girlfriend.
It was sort of like as usual, like, oh, we're going to do a healing on my dad. I'm like, okay, cool. Where? We like pack all our stuff because we have all our equipment and our tools and our medicine chest and our lights and tapestries.
And everything.
And we get there and it was very apparent very quickly that he
didn't know.
that not only didn't know, like he's like, who is this guy that's engaged to my daughter who I've never met? And I was like, oh, this is gonna be a weird one. But
no, it was great. It was super healing and super amazing. And now my dad like loves Cody so much. I mean, who wouldn't love him?
It was beautiful. But, like, I mean, we went into like a deep healing together and it was beautiful and nothing bonds you like that.
Okay. You're throwing it up in a bucket next to somebody, you're definitely bonded.
Okay, I'm gonna throw a hard period on this.
So Janice.
Third question. And back to Janice.
Yeah. Awesome. And so you're kind of segueing nicely into what in your arsenal could you pull out someone could do with 5-10 minutes of they're really having a stressful day. So let's just use an example, a real world example. Someone's on set. You can tell they're stressed out, they're tense, they're having a bad day, they need to calm down. What do you pull out of your arsenal that's like, okay, we got to take 10, and in that 10 minutes you got to calm down. You need to find some peace.
Well, I mean, there's obviously multiple things that can be done. I personally will go back to the thing that brings me the quickest amount of peace, which is taking them outside, making them focus on the beauty of something. So even if it's, and just focusing on just being outside. So if you're walking, like really pay attention to every step that you're taking, pay attention to the wind on your skin, pay attention to the birds outside, maybe even get a little like closer and like pick up a leaf on the ground and look at the details and intricacies of it. Anything that you can do to make yourself present and with nature will automatically calm people down automatically. And especially, I mean, if there's a dog on set or something like that, then obviously that's where you take them first. But
she would take me.
Therapy puppies are awesome.
Yeah, therapy puppies.
Therapy puppies. Yeah.
She would take me to feed squirrels.
Oh yes.
And when I would feel like a little bit of a funky day, she'd be like, "Come with me." And she grabs that's and she's.
They
right.
have ADHD. They can't remember where they put their nuts. So.
Oh my God.
It's your spirit animal.
I do. I used to bring all of my friends, if they were having like a really bad day, there's this park that's near our place, and you just bring some always unsalted peanuts, always for the squirrels, but some unsalted peanuts.
Or saltless saltines. They like those.
Oh, I didn't know that one. Okay, that's a new one. And they literally they'll take them out of your hand. So they'll walk up and literally like take them out of your hand, and they're weird little squirrel hands and stuff. They're just they have really long, weird hands. They're the best.
This girl, you have no idea. I can go off on you. We run a company together now, and I'll be in the middle of work. I'm like, where's Tanya? She's not in her desk in the office. And I like look out the window, and she'll be like on the ground feeding a bee honey, which you're not really supposed to do. But they because of the pesticides, like and whatever the frequencies in LA, like they're like everywhere, like corpses. Like it's dark.
So I just pick them up and then I give them a little bit of sugar,
resuscitating them, and I'm like,
but it works. The
like,
sugar water
honey,
works.
like, we need to work.
I'm like, yeah,
my former husband's brother, my brother-in-law, I still call my brother-in-law. He's a beekeeper upstate. That's what brings his is he told my sister-in-law and goes, I got to do something to relax. I'm buying a beehive. And she was like, what? The two don't connect, but it brings some peace and we get lots of honey.
That's amazing.
Whoa.
Do you know that beekeepers have the longest lifespan?
I did not know that.
Yeah,
it's going to live forever.
Yeah, they're finding out recently. I wish I knew what the study was, but they were finding out that the vibration from bee wings actually like resets your body.
Wow.
That's what they do. Yeah, so beekeepers have the longest lifespan of any other job.
Wild. I had no idea.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
That is wild. I'm going to tell him you're going to live a long time, Chris.
You chose the right hobby.
I knew this was bringing me peace. Peace and long life.
Do you have anything else you want to?
Okay, so
Michael said he's heard that about the beekeeper.
Of course he has.
By the way, we skipped over it.
Loves Zin.
Yeah, so side, I know you're listening, but we would say it anyways, Zin, but nice catch.
I love him too. Yes, nice catch. Yes.
It's awesome. Love it. I mean, look, this is an interesting. Oh, they're all interesting. I mean, so I like the way you phrase the question because you're saying like, what is the hack? Like, what's the 5-10 minute hack? Like, and putting it on set. I mean, look, a cup of coffee could give you a little something, right? Sort of like the more like low vibration, escapist thing I do is to like shut my brain off or whatever. Is like I'll read like a sports article. It's because it takes me back to a nostalgic place that I just like it shuts my brain off. I'm inactive. I call it like a chew toy for the mind. It's kind of similar to how people who meditate, there's mantra-based meditation and they'll repeat a mantra. And there's multiple schools of thought. You're either the mantra has a vibration within itself, or there's another school of thought, which is the mantra itself essentially holds no it doesn't hold any intellectual energy, so it allows your mind to chew on it enough for you to dip into a different state of consciousness, right? So reading a sports article is sort of like a low vibration way or of me of escaping what I'm feeling. The few quick things. Okay, if Tanya's with me, we'd play I Feel. So I say, can we play, can I talk? And so I just sit there and she'll listen to me. I feel, and I'll just say, I feel, and I'll keep saying how I feel until I can get, and why I feel it. And then
I like that game.
And then get to the root of it.
Once you speak into existence, the frequency of the density, you can release it.
Yeah. It loses its hold on you.
So we do a lot of medicine work. So medicine work there's like 5 or 6 key ways you move energy. It's really gross, but I'm already going down this slope.
So you're going there. Okay.
I think it's good to know.
No, sure. Yeah.
Wait,
they're all natural.
One of the fascinating things is when you work with entheogenic medicines, one of the first things that these people who work with them have to heal is how you naturally purge and heal energy. So crying is a way of moving energy. Yawning can move energy. Burping, that sounds like
shaking.
Going to the bathroom. These are all different ways. Sweating, all different ways that you can move energy. So we've gotten to the point where we do so much work. It's one of those things where you'll start saying, I feel. Next thing you know, we're yawning, right? Or it's gross, but burping, right? It's that easy for us to like talk and hit it. So playing the I feel game is a really quick way. But if I was on set, I've done this before, and I'm really I'm really struggling. I mean, shoes off, feet on the ground, start breathing, one hand on the heart, one hand on the stomach, or open palms. So you start to force yourself into an open position so you can start to receive energy, and then just start following your breath or repeat a mantra. So we're both trained in transcendental meditation. So we have the mantras we were prescribed. And then, but we have developed an understanding or a belief system that we do actually like to use certain mantras because we do believe they have certain power, certain frequency. So like I personally use Ra a lot lately because I find that has a very ancient energy to it that I like to tap into. So
we also learned like an ancient like heal or chakra opening technique that uses they call it the Ra channel opening. So we use that as well, which is kind of like they do it in like reading your Kundalini energy with the snakes and all that. It's the same sort of thing, but you're repeating Ra.
Right. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, and that's don't get me started on sex alchemy, but there's, I mean, mainly don't get me started. Mainly it's plant your feet, grow roots out of the base of your spine of your feet, start breathing, hand on the heart, the stomach, or open palms. And that's it. Follow the mantra, breathe, and 5 minutes, 10 minutes later, you'll be back as good as new. If you can't escape a situation and close your eyes like that, then go to someone you love and talk out the feelings. And, until you speak them, you remove them. Like you move,
Also, one other thing. So like a physical action that you can do is this helps a lot for stress or anxiety. It's kind of like when you see two geese like get in a fight, right? And they're like fighting on the water and then they move away from each other. You'll see immediately they start shaking it off, right?
Oh,
Animals do that all the time. And so that's something that like humans just don't do enough because we're like socially awkward about like shaking in public. But it's a really great way to remove energy. You can jump up and down. You can, shake your hands and do, just try to like move the energy out of your body. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that will automatically remove stress and anxiety and make you feel better, more clear.
Right. And actually the only other thing I would add to it is like I didn't grow up praying. I didn't have necessarily that schooling. So like I came to prayer very like experientially in a medicine ceremony, in a very intense mystical experience where my hands magnetically pinned together and pinned to my chest and, all on their own. And it's, I started having a very profound experience, but it truly like showed me what prayer is. And we have like 2 hemispheres in our electromagnetic field, and you have 2 energy centers in your hands. And if you push them together and pin it to your heart, you can harmonize the energy of your mind and your heart and help with more like it can help focus and seal your field in a powerful way. So even just if you can do that, put your hands together, press it to your heart and say affirming words of either gratitude or power, those that can ground me really quickly. And it took me, I used to feel ashamed to do it in public. Now I'm like, whatever, bitch, I'm weird and get with it. And so I'm going to
that's pretty much what I've embraced too. It's like, what are you doing? Let me be, I need my minute.
I mean, I'd rather be loving and kind to everybody and, deal with my stuff in my own corner and then come back, or I'd rather everybody be like that instead of us just tearing each other apart.
Yes, I totally agree.
Wait, Janice, do you have a good one for us?
You want to give us some little secrets?
I like doing Obi-Wan Ken.
What's that? What is it?
Abi-Ra-Un Ken.
Oh, okay.
Abi-Ra-Un Ken. Okay.
Abi-Ra-Un Ken. Okay.
And it's the 5 to balance.
Oh, okay. It's like a chakra balancing thing.
Oh, okay. I didn't know we were going to go here. Hold on. Wait. When you say it's the 5 to balance, Obi-Ra-Un Ken. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Is that starting with the root chakra?
Yeah.
So Ra is the solar plexus. That's the one that we do. Obi-Ra.
God. Obi
And then
Ra,
Obi Ra Un Ken.
So
Okay.
that mantra, when you say it's the 5 to balance, are there five?
It's like kind of like as above, so below.
Yes.
That's the balance. But it's the 5 sounds for me. It's the 5 to balance.
Okay.
When you do it, do you say it out loud or do you intone it or does it vary?
I tone it. I do say it out loud like I have been, but I try and tone it. It's kind of like doing the Kodadama when you do we see my Reiki master teacher taught us the Kodadama. So it's like instead of Chokure, it's Okure Eheki.
Oh,
So
Yeah.
it's the vowels.
Oh, that's
okay.
more
Yeah.
powerful.
No. Yeah. I had
I'm never gonna say Chakure ever again. Chat with my New York accent. Chakure. Seiheki. Anchaze.
That one is actually the hardest one for me. It's like I can get Daikomyo out. It's the Hanshu Shozen. Doing the Kodadama on that one is very hard. It's hard enough to get it out just as a mantra.
So Kodadama.
Kodadama.
And that is how you're enunciating it differently, or is
It's it's how you enunciate it differently. It's the vowels instead of okure, it's okure, and then instead of seiheki, it's eheki, and then instead of daikomyo, it's oko. I have to look at that one again, but it's just the vowels.
That's beautiful, and I love that, and it makes much more
way
sense.
more sense.
Yeah,
Yes.
because you're speaking a harmonic and not making it cutting. And right, if you see spirit, it's fucking all moving and flowing. It's never hard, and it doesn't end. Do you know what I mean? So to flow like that, I love that. I'm gonna try
really
to
cool.
bring that into my practice.
Thanks, Janice.
Yeah.
Of course.
I didn't know you were sitting back here listening to me talk about my third testicle. I told my mom about it. You have
but I'll go to my car or We be in my space, and if I need to just kind of realign, I also like the moving meditation that you do when we first learned how to do Daikomyo. We did this beautiful moving meditation for Daikomyo.
Whoa. So when you say moving meditation, is it
Stand shoulder width apart, and then as you say Daikomyo, your arms go out, and once you're nice in the big bright light and you're ready to ground again, you say Chokure and you go back into yourself.
Whoa, I love it. And you bring your hands back into your
solar plexus,
your like stomach, your
Hara.
Word. Oh my God.
That's
word.
Really cool.
Oh, the Reiki master. Because we see we're coming to the end of our hour. Did we answer the 3 main pillars of
Answered? Yes.
Peace?
And I was getting ready to ask if there's anything else that you would like to share about peace as we close the show.
I always have things to share about peace. I have so much to share, but there's only one fundamental truth. I mean, of all my journeys and work and healings and crying and puking in a bucket in the jungle for more hours than I could count, the only truth I've ever found is that all is one is all, and everything else is a gradient of a distortion of that truth. And there is only one universal truth, and is the oneness of all that is. And none of us are well until all of us are well. And that if you are not feeling peace, you are getting taught a lesson on how to be harmony with the oneness of all that is, and that nothing to be feared, nothing to be worried about. And just listen. And this is I only teach what I need to learn, and this is what I work on every day, so and the only other thing we say is, in that is, if your mind's in the future, it's anxiety.
I was just going to say that.
Nice.
I was literally just going to bring
Take it away.
If your mind's in the future, then that's fear. And if you're right,
Anxiety.
Anxiety.
If your mind's in the future, it's anxiety. If your mind's in the past, it's depression. If it's in the present moment, neither can exist. I sorry, I stepped on you.
It's okay. You're good.
Go ahead.
No,
so,
that was it.
Well, do you have anything else you want to say about peace?
No, that's literally what I was going to say.
Okay. And the crazy thing is, I don't think we feel more peace than when we're connected to each other and other people, yourself included, Janice, especially like-minded people. And I think the sad thing is that we've built lives in these walls with these digital screens and these constructs that separate us from each other. And so I mean, like,
as we talk through a digital
as
screen.
we talk to you.
But it is so good that we can remember that we're coast to coast. We wouldn't be able to do this right now.
Exactly.
No, it's beautiful.
Exactly.
It is.
It is a double-edged sword. 100%. But yeah, I mean, I think that's all we have to say about peace. Just keep it.
Just keep the peace.
Wonderful. And spread it to others as much as you possibly can.
Yeah, man. All you need is peace.
Yes, and Michael can't wait to see you guys tomorrow on the live stream of consciousness.
Thank you, Zen. We love you, brother.
And Janice, it was so wonderful to
so
finally
nice to
meet you.
Yeah.
To meet you.
So happy you and Zen found each other. Yeah. And if your son acts up, you have him call me, okay?
Send him to us.
Tell him. You listen to your mother.
What's his name? Jeffrey? Jeff?
He likes to go by Jeff. If he's Jeffrey, he's in trouble. If he gets to his middle name, he's got to be running. You know how that works.
What's his middle?
Dean.
Jeff.
Dean. Oh, that does sound like you're in trouble.
Anytime you meet your middle name, I still would be like, my mom would be on the phone to get to the middle name. Like, I gotta go.
I'm so sorry. I have to
roll the phone.
It's like away from me. So yeah. So I'm gonna put you guys in the green screen for a minute, green room for a minute, and close the show. So I want to thank you all for being part of this tonight, and just remind you, on Sunday I have local recording artist Just E coming on. She's got a beautiful story of some, from trauma to triumph and coming into her own, and she's going to share how she got there. You have a wonderful evening, and I see you on Sunday.